tell my stories through images, and that's mostly done to the stories of others, to the words of others. So I don't pretend to be a writer. And these are two of my latest children.
The rest of us are only pretending to be right.
Oh, you know, I've done some words. These are two of my latest. I don't know exactly what to tell about them, other than it's freaking awesome to finally work on something that I grew up with, and to be asked personally by Brian Froud to work on these. So that was kind of cool. And I can tell a bit about how that came to be, because in 2016 I wanted to give up being an artist or pursuing a career as an artist, because I basically sucked at everything. I wasn't hired by companies, and I decided, like, okay, I'm just gonna do my own thing and just paint my own pictures, whatever I like, post them on Instagram, write little snippets of stories, and that's it. And that blew up. People loved it, and they were asking me, what are you gonna do with all these things? And well, maybe I'll do a book. Thinking I'd do a Kickstarter, maybe sell 300 copies, let 500 be printed, and I ended up having sold 2,500 copies during the Kickstarter. I was on a Sunday evening, I was chatting with Guillermo del Toro, because he bought an original, which is actually on the campaign, on the program of the convention. So that one, the green man on that, is bought by in the collection of Guillermo del Toro. And I actually grew up wanting to be an artist when I saw the book Faeries by Brian Froud and Alan Lee. And I just thought, wouldn't it be amazing to have the intro written by Brian? Just ask, and I did. And he wrote the intro. And I was invited to come over to Chadford and have a chat with him. And a couple of months later, I got the invite to do the Dark Crystal. And you do not say no to that. So yeah, I can probably show a couple of, it's weird to do this way, but one of the first things I drew was Ronip. It's delightfully different and weird, like me, hopefully. And the way I approach these things is like being a sketchbook. So actually, I think I sketched like 1,000 sketches and illustrations, and I treated it as if it was a journal of a gelfling going through the world of Thra and just noting every single creature that's around there. And I mean, this is a big thing for me because I grew up with this. I watched this movie countless times. And Brian has some big shoes to fill. Like, he's a tiny person, but he has big shoes. So it was very daunting for me. But I guess I did it. Want to just it did. I don't have no award to show you, but I did win it. And then back to my Faeries of the Faultline book, which should have been out now. This is I sold the rights to a publisher, so I don't have to package and ship every single book by hand again, which is good. And the new edition sold out in 2 months, and now we're waiting on the new edition. I can read a tiny bit about what my book is about. Please be gentle, because I'm not a writer. I just wanted this book to be something that could help people find their way back into the world of wonder. Because as grown-ups, we're not supposed to think about things as wonderful, like a stone could be a dragon egg. And we've lost that, or a lot of people have lost that. And I wanted this book to be a gateway. So the stories in here are very small, tiny stories, only meant to open your eyes and see the world around you with extraordinary eyes like a child. So, welcome, the fault lines are open. Within the pages of this book, you will find paintings, sketches and short stories that I, Edith Compiet, collected on my travels through a place I've now come to know as the fault lines. The The Faultlines isn't a place in the traditional sense of the word. At least, it's not just one place, but many. It's perhaps best described as areas where the veil between our human world and the world of the fairies is thinnest, and we can enter a world that is still ours but slightly different. Fairies are alive right here among us, but hidden behind the thin veil of other. Once you step beyond that veil, you will enter the Faultlines. You may have glimpsed the veil before in a single dewdrop, in a rainbow, or even in a corner of your eye, when you had a distinct feeling someone or something was watching you. The veil is here, always and everywhere. It is around you, beneath you, above you, behind you, and even inside you. Fairies are everywhere if you just know how to look for them. After carefully waiting, listening, and observing, I was lucky enough to regain my sight into the other. I've been granted access to the world of the fairies and gradually earned their trust, which allowed me to write, illustrate, and pass these stories on to you. It's my hope that the words on these pages, combined with the images of the fairies, will excite the senses of those seeking the other and help them regain their sight. Although this sight into the world of fairies is innate to all beings, and humans are born with it as children, it is often lost as we enter adulthood. Sorry. So that's a little bit of an intro to my Faeries of the Faultlines, which again I can show you one of the main pages, which is really difficult to but everything starts from that, and basically that's so this is the only copy I have right now, so if you want to take a look, you absolutely can, and this is not the easiest. But yeah, it's filled with very much like the Dark Crystal and Bestiary book, because the publisher of the Dark Crystal Bestiary and the Labyrinth Bestiary wanted something like this. So I was given for all books, so I was given free reign to do my own thing, which was absolutely bloody amazing. Yeah, it's been doing really well. I can show you some of my favorites. David Bowie is, by the way, very difficult to draw. Very fun, but very difficult. And obviously, we all know this one. Hello. Come in, meet the missus. And yeah, so that's what I do. I paint pictures for other people's stories. And I hope it just excites people to read more and enjoy more. I don't know what else to say.
What was difficult to draw about David Bowie?
David Bowie has a certain look. That is a certain. It's the way his mouth sets. There's this twinkle in his eyes, and especially with the Labyrinth book, I wanted to show different sides of personalities of all the characters. So with David Bowie, there's a lot going on in that movie, what he is. So I wanted to capture that, and it's really difficult because definitely in the eyes, but his mouth, that smirk. If you don't catch the smirk, it's not David Bowie, it's not the Goblin King. So that was the main difficulty. And then for Sarah, it was her teeth, because the publisher was like, "Oh, her teeth are too big," but they are that big. But yeah, I had to go through all the people of Jennifer Connelly had to agree upon the teeth. So it was interesting, and I work traditionally, so you know how difficult it is. And they're like, "Oh, you have to change that." I'm like, "Okay, I can." This took me a week to paint, but yeah, that was difficult. So I don't do any David Bowies in any site. Like people ask me to do a David Bowie, it's like, nope. Be extra. Don't do it. Not doing it. No. Any more?
Could you read one of the little descriptions of the creatures from the Faeries of the Faultlines?
Yeah, sure. Anyone in particular?
No, have you read any of them? I'd love to hear a little bit of
Oh, now I need to think about what's my.
Let it fall open.
Oh, let it fall. Yeah. Oh, this is probably. I have one that's fun because it's actually. So a lot of these stories are based on. A lot of my stories are based on things that I've experienced. Now I need to look for my. And I love hags. Like I really love water hags. There's something about them. It's probably the color green, and as I grow older, I turn into this hag as well. It's like everything starts sagging, so I start looking like this. But yeah, I yeah. So this is about the Nika or Nika, water spirits I encountered while I was hiking across some wetlands in Iceland. I was so enthralled by the beautiful landscape that I didn't watch where I was going until my foot got stuck in the bog. I then felt their hands wrapping around my ankle, trying to drag me down. I only managed to free myself by offering them some of the tiny white butterflies I had caught earlier, which are apparently something of a delicacy to these spirits. Their sickly brown and green skin is thick and leathery, like that of a peat body that has lain submerged under the dark surface for centuries. And that's based on a thing that actually happened to me, because I was hiking in Iceland and just looking at all these amazing things, and all of a sudden I saw this pond, and in the pond there were these tiny little white butterflies floating. Oh, that's beautiful. It's probably the food of something, blah blah blah. And like a story was forming in my mind, and I wasn't paying attention, and within seconds I was just knee deep stuck in a bog, and all the other people of the residency were at the other side of the whatever it's called in Iceland, crater, whatever. And I was like, okay, I'm really in trouble now because they don't know where I'm at. And all of a sudden, like, oh well, you know, now these hags have something else to eat. And I was like, okay, well, you know, I'll take one for the cause. Like, I will feed those hags. I will gladly feed them. But yeah, that's things that I've encountered. Like, one more? Yeah. So this is in Scotland, where there's a lot of standing stones, and I always see faces in them. There's if you just look closely, you'll see them. So one day I stumbled upon a solitary standing stone on the moors. I detected the faint, delicate facial features of a woman, as well as markings carved into the surface of the stone. The symbols, lines, and swirls tracing her cold skin seemed to move slightly. Although I hardly noticed it at first, it dawned on me that this standing stone was alive and even seemed to breathe. I've been told her powers are kept under control by the potent magic that keeps her trapped in her prison. Once the light of the full moon touches the skin, she can break free from her confinement long enough to lure travelers with her mesmerizing and hard-hearted gaze, imploring them to lay a hand on her ice-cold skin. Upon doing so, they will find their doom in the water beneath her feet and become a scroll etched on her body.
But she doesn't write.
That's my attitude. Yeah, that was a fun thing because I am Dutch, so English is not my native language, but I write every single story in English. But I had a good editor to change some words here and there because so it's not always easy. But yeah.